Can freelancing be a solution to youth unemployment? That is the question of this conversation. Before we get into answering that question, let's first discuss what freelancing is. What is freelancing? Briefly speaking, freelancing can be doing any type of contract work where you are not considered an employee of the company that you're working with. But in the context of this discussion, we are talking about freelancing in terms of digital skills or in terms of online freelancing jobs. And there are all sorts of different platforms where people find freelancing jobs. And these include Upwork, Fiverr, Flex Jobs. So different ones. If you do a Google search like freelancing platforms, you can see a lot of them out there. And the most freelancing jobs that I've seen out there that are related to digital skills are digital marketing, of course, computer and IT, data entry, accounting and finance, HR and recruiting, software development, a big one. So many. Editing, video editing, photo editing, website design, all sorts of things that you can do online, you can do with your computer. You can basically find a freelance job or a freelance gig to do that if you have the skills that are required. And like any type of job, freelancing has its pros and cons. And some of the pros of freelancing are that you can decide how much you want to work. You can decide how many clients you want to work with. And that gives you flexibility to do the type of work that you want, that you are interested in. And depending on your level of expertise, you can work part-time and earn a full-time income. Another benefit of freelancing is that you are flexible to work from wherever you want, as long as you have access to internet. You can work from your home, you can work from a coffee shop, or anywhere, as long as you have internet. Especially just talking about these digital job or the freelancing jobs that are related to digital skills. You can really work from anywhere and set your own hours. You, of course, have deadlines to hit. You have deadlines to complete your tasks, but you can decide when, what hours of the day you want to work and what hours of the day you want to relax, and where you can travel and still be able to work. On the cons side of freelancing, when you're a freelancer, you're essentially a business owner. You're working for yourself. You're not an employee of any particular company. And there are responsibilities that you have to take for yourself, where in a traditional company, as an employee, the company would be taking these responsibilities for you. And these include like paying your own taxes, finding your own health insurance. There is also this thing called Feast of Famine syndrome, where some months of the year you have a lot of work. You're working with a bunch of clients and you're making so much money. And then the following months you have nothing, no clients, not making any money. And so if you don't have good money management skills, you will end up being broke in those months where you're essentially in a drought. And so freelancing requires good money management and a constant sourcing, a constant searching for new clients. There are a few traits and characteristics that I think are very important to succeed as a freelancer. You don't have to have all of them, but I think it's very important to, some of them are learnable, others people have them naturally, but it's great to have some of these. And number one is discipline. Like I said before, when you're a freelancer, there is no boss. There is no one telling you when to wake up and do the work. There is no one telling you not to get distracted. And so it's on you to make sure that when you're supposed to be working, you're working. You're not watching, videos on YouTube or you're scrolling through social media. You have to have that discipline to make sure that when it's time to work, you get the work done. Second trait is persistence. Persistence is always important, but mostly when you're starting out. When you're starting out and you don't have any client, you might start to think that maybe nobody is going to hire you because you don't have anything to show, you don't have any experience to show, but you have to persist. You have to keep on improving your communication skills, improving how you present yourself to make sure that eventually you land jobs, you land clients. The third trait that I think is related to persistence is resilience. You are going to face a lot of rejection. You're going to hear a lot of no's, people rejecting you, and some people take it personal, and they're like, "Oh my God, nobody's ever going to hire me." But you have to be resilient enough to not to take it personal and just let it roll over your back and go on to the next client, go on to the next prospective client. Another characteristic is organization. You have to be really, really organized. You need to keep track of your income, your expenses. You need to keep track of your clients if you have multiple ones and the different projects that you have to complete. You need to keep all your files sorted and your workload really streamlined. The last one is being communicative. As a freelancer, you will need to communicate a lot. Being a freelancer involves a lot of communication. And first of all, communicating your value to potential clients, and also having some of the difficult conversations you can have with clients, which include negotiating for a higher rate, or even breaking up with a client that is not really working out when a contract isn't going well. It's very hard to part ways to break up with a client, and so you have to be good at professionally communicating these things and professionally having these conversations. Again, while having these is not a guarantee that you're going to be successful at freelancing, I think it is very important to practice some of these to make sure that once you make the decision to go into freelancing, and you have the skills that you want to provide, like the hard skills, whether it's marketing, whether it's design, whether it's data entry, whatever skill that you want to provide, whatever skill that you want to sell as a freelancer, you may need to couple it with some of these soft skills, some of these traits or characteristics to make sure that you're standing out from the crowd. I want to go back to the question that I posed at the beginning of this video. Can freelancing be a solution to youth unemployment or unemployment in general? And I typed this question in Google, and I like to read people's perspectives on ideas like this on Quora. Quora is a website where people ask different questions and people can weigh in. And I found really interesting answers from different people that I want to go through and react to these answers. And the first answer is from a journalist named Cecilio. He says he has decades of covering unemployment. And he says, in the advanced and wealthier nations, freelance work involves the selling of labor on an occasional basis by someone who possesses certain skills or credentials. By definition, youth unemployment, which in the same context means joblessness by people 16 to 24, often without defined skills and or credentials, cannot solve their unemployment. The youth have very little to sell. Well, I kind of agree with him that in this context, a lot of young people really don't have a lot of skills, really don't have enough skills to differentiate themselves, to go out there and find freelancing jobs, and they don't have the credentials to show that and I guess this person is coming from a perspective of somebody who's been a professional for a lot of years. Especially in the previous years, the freelancers that people were used to were people who were selling like professional services, like somebody who's been a lawyer for a decade, or somebody who's been doing sales for years, or somebody who's been doing marketing for years. But I think in the context of today, in the context of considering what the internet has brought to the table, I think that a lot of youth now can, first of all, learn a lot of skills that have little to do with experience. So things like designing, things like Adobe Creative, the whole Adobe Creative suite, those things have a lot of demand. Writing, digital marketing as well, social media, a lot of things that young people are inclined to be good at simply because of the era of the internet. And then he goes on to say the income from freelance work rarely matches full time, permanent, or seasonal employment. The casual arrangements do not provide employer provided benefits, paid vacations and sick leave, health care and retirement savings, and all that stuff. Well, I actually think that a lot of young people these days don't really care much about such benefits, and a lot of young people are now looking at flexibility. They're looking at being their own boss and doing what they love, doing work that fulfills them, that feels purposeful. But also, besides all that, what benefits do you have when you're unemployed anyway? Here is another response from a man named Robert Dixon. He says, I've worked both sides of freelance writing and editing for many years. And he says, solve it? I doubt it. Make a huge difference? Certainly. Freelancing teaches a great number of skills that will help people as they move through life, no matter what they choose to do. They'll gain people skills, they'll learn responsibility, they'll learn the basics of money management and personal finance skills. A lot of basic life skills that our schools sadly still don't teach. I completely agree with this one. Freelancing definitely teaches you a lot of these skills that are never taught in schools, like money management, personal finance. These things are rarely taught in schools and rarely taught in homes. I think parents are supposed to be teaching their kids some of this stuff like personal finance and things like that. But what if parents never had that type of experience either? So I think freelancing does well in terms of teaching you these skills. Another guy responded and he's like, if you are from a well-developed country, then you can't understand quickly that freelancing solves the unemployment problem. But in the context of a developing country, it's a big yes. I definitely agree with this one. For example, in the USA, freelancing has been kind of on the rise, but it's been like an alternative to traditional employment. It's been like somebody decided to leave their job, decided to quit their job and start freelancing. In the context of most of the developing countries, most African countries where a lot of young people are unemployed, they don't really have that choice of traditional employment, and so freelancing becomes a solution. And personally, freelancing was a solution to my unemployment because I started freelancing because I could not find a job. And now thinking back, I'm glad that that's the way it happened, because given the two choices now, I don't think I would give up freelancing to take on full-time work. I guess it depends. I can't take that off the table, but it would depend on what the work is and if it's fulfilling enough. In conclusion, I definitely think that freelancing can be one of the solutions to youth unemployment, especially in developing countries, especially in African countries. But all this depends on skills. You have to learn skills, especially now. You have to learn digital skills and improve yourself. I actually am inclined to argue that rather than spending most of your time trying to look for jobs, applying for jobs, I would argue that you should spend more time freelancing. You should start freelancing and spend more time freelancing because it gives you that experience. First of all, it builds your confidence so that when you get the opportunities to do full-time work, you have the experience, you have the confidence that you can get the work done. And so, and also you are earning income. Of course, it's tough, it's challenging when you're starting out, but once things start rolling, once things start working for you, it can be a fulfilling process. It can be a fulfilling alternative to job seeking. Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think freelancing can be a solution to youth unemployment? If so, what sort of skills do you think young people can learn, young people can get into? Especially, there are so many digital skills that are not like very technical that anybody can learn. And so please let me know in the comments what you guys think. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and share it with your friends. And I'll see you soon.